Welcome Del Norte High School community. This is Brian Schultz, your proud principal, and I'm super excited to be speaking to you tonight about our reopening plan for the 2021 school year. We cannot wait for all of our Nighthawks to return to campus. Whether you're going to be brand new to the nest or whether you've been here for many years, we're just incredibly excited to have you return to us on September 2nd. I also want to thank all of our families that submitted questions over the past couple of days in regards to the reopening plan. And lastly, I'd like to thank our PTSA for the tremendous work that they've done in helping to facilitate communication to our community. So tonight I want to talk about what our goals for tonight are, and they're really threefold. First off, I want to talk and tell you a little bit about our guiding documents that have been guiding our opening plans. Those are documents that you received last week from the California Department of Education, the California Department of Health, and the Poway Unified School District guidelines for reopening our schools. You also received the DNHS reopening plan for 2021. These are all important documents for you to review as we move towards closer to the start of school. Our goals for tonight are really to learn more about the in-person campus plan and the VLA plan that we have at DNHS for this school year. Also to learn about what a typical day would look like in the life of a student, either in the in-person plan or in the virtual learning academy. And lastly, to answer a few questions that you've submitted over the weekend. So first, we're going to talk about the reopening plan and the in-person or on-campus option. Our overarching goal is to be able to return fully to campus with all of our students. However, we know that that is not necessarily a reality due to current orders. So as a result, we will most likely open in a modified schedule, and you were able to get a glimpse of that in the email that Dr. Kim Phelps sent out today. Our plan for opening up in a modified schedule is to have less students on campus so that we can practice social distancing and have a much safer environment for both our students and our staff. So in this modified schedule, we would have students divided into an A and a B group. And these students would be on campus 2 days a week in person with all of their classes, seeing all of their teachers. And then 3 days a week, they would be off campus learning virtually. This allows us to have less students on campus at one time. It allows for proper social distancing and is a much safer environment for both our students and our staff. I want to talk about a typical day for a student. They'll be greeted when they come onto campus like they typically would. I'll be out front, not giving high fives anymore, but saying hello to students. We'll be screening students possibly for temperature checks, and those will all be based on the guidelines that we have. We'll have designated routes to keep the halls less congested. There'll be hand sanitizing stations and signage around campus as students walk around, and the signage will help to promote the idea of social distancing. During breaks and lunch, students will be spread out around campus to again help practice social distancing. In the classrooms, both staff and students will have to wear masks, as is part of the regulations that are in place that Governor Newsom has imposed at this point. Students will be encouraged to bring their own supplies. If we get an opportunity to be in person, we want to again have the safest environment that we possibly can. So we're going to encourage students to bring all the supplies needed so that we're not sharing supplies. And we'll also be very diligent about having students respect each other's personal space. Within the context of the classroom, we again have created classroom space so that we are practicing social distancing, so that our teachers and our staff are using that 6 feet distance, and also so students are socially distanced in class as well. So that's a typical day in the life of the in-person option should we get there. The other option that we have to choose from is our VLA, or Virtual Learning Academy option. So the VLA option is now site-based, meaning that it will stay at DNHS. And it's really important to think of the VLA as a school within a school. Those of you that choose the VLA option are doing so because of a health concern that you may have. and that regardless of what safety protocols we have in place, if we are able to come back in person, that you're just not comfortable with those. So that would be why you would choose the VLA option. Now, students in the VLA option are still Del Norte High School students. We're all Nighthawks, and they'll be taught to the extent possible by a Del Norte High School teacher. To solve some conflicts and requests, we may need to access other VLA options at other sites. And that is just the reality of where we are in our current state, so that we'll be looking to meet the needs of all of our students to our best ability. For our VLA teachers and staff, there'll be professional growth opportunities for teachers in the coming weeks, so that once we begin school, and those of you that have selected the VLA option, we have teachers that have been trained and are able to meet the needs of your students. There will be common curriculum with the in-person option and also the VLA option to ensure consistency across courses. This is incredibly important because we know that there may be times in trimesters where students want to go from one option to the other. So the need to have consistency across curricular areas is incredibly important. We realize that, our teachers realize that, and so there will again be that consistency across similar courses. Now, the daily schedules with the VLA and the in-person option, they'll mirror each other to the greatest extent possible so that there's cohesion and consistency for students that, again, may switch from one option to the other at a new trimester. It is important to note that if you select the VLA option and we are able to come back in person, that you'll stay in that VLA option for the trimester, and then you will have an opportunity to decide if you want to stay with that option longer. Again, the VLA, think of it as a school within a school. All of our students will be Del Norte High School students. All of our teachers will be Del Norte High School teachers. Our same counselors will work with all of our students, whether they're in the in-person option or they're in the VLA option. There are also additional options in Poway Unified School District. We have virtual classes online, and we also have new directions. Now I'd like to answer some of the questions that were sent in. One question that came up multiple times centers around the idea of, can students participate in both worlds? Are we able to participate part of the day in person and part of the day in virtual learning? This is a great question that we will continue to explore these possibilities after we know the results of both the Family Commitment Survey and the Teacher Survey. At this time, we cannot give a specific answer because so much depends upon the results of the surveys that are out that you guys will be turning in and teachers will be turning in throughout this week. There were many questions sent in regarding physical education. We will have PE classes, and our E&S department continues to work to develop what those classes will consist of and what they will look like in both the VLA and the in-person option. Another common question that was sent in was, will teachers be using the same online platform for consistency? Yes, and we learned very clearly in distance learning at the end of the year the need for consistency and cohesion. So yes, teachers will be using Canvas as their primary platform to deliver their curriculum, whether we're in the in-person option or the VLA option. Another question that was sent in multiple times was, will masks be required? And the answer is yes. Masks are a current mandate for both students and staff on campus. So again, should we come back in an in-person setting, all of our staff, all of our students will be required to wear masks. We had many questions sent in surrounding AP questions, advanced placement class questions. One question that came in multiple times was, will AP classes be offered through the Virtual Learning Academy? And the answer to that is yes, to the extent that we will have teachers available to teach those courses if they opt for the Virtual Learning Academy. Our course offerings will be determined based on the results of these surveys that we are having due at the end of this week. Many questions regarding counselors came in, and will they be working with students in both the VLA and the in-person? And the answer is yes. All of our students will be Del Norte students. And now that the VLA is site-based, counselors will continue to work with our students regardless of whether you choose the in-person option or the VLA. There were also many questions sent in regarding students with IEPs. And as you see, and as you know, yesterday our Assistant Superintendent of Student Support Services, Mr. Mizell, sent out communication related to our students that have IEPs and the supports that are being developed for both students in the VLA option and the in-person option. So please refer to that message for more information on students with IEPs. Now, we have many more questions at this point than we do answers, and I want to encourage you to please continue to email me questions that you may have as we continue to move forward in opening in the new school year. I will continue to update you as new information develops. So much of the information that we still need relies on the data that's going to come into us from both your family commitment form and also the teacher commitment form that are both due at the end of this week. I want to thank you, and that we look forward to your return in September, whether that be in person or virtually. We're so excited to welcome our new and returning Nighthawks to the nest. Be well, continue to support each other, and remember, Nighthawks, there's one school, one flock, and we're all Nighthawk strong. Be well, stay safe, and we'll talk soon.